Hi everybody, welcome back to Harry's Music Room. This is a continuing series of records that will never leave my collection. Should for some reason I have to purge my records, these are ones I will always keep. And I do limit it to one record per artist. So we are going to do the G's through the I's today. And one record that I absolutely love is Breakaway by Art Garfunkel. I love his version of I Only Have Eyes for You. 99 Miles from LA, Disney Girls. I believe when I fall in love it will be forever. Ragdoll, Waters of March. This is just a really, really good album, in my opinion, and one that I will always go back to and always listen to. And then next is another band. Like I said in many of my videos, I grew up in the 60s, so 60s and early 70s, that's my wheelhouse. Grassroots. I had to pick a greatest hits because look at these songs. Look at those. I mean, every song on here was just a hit. You heard them all on the radio. Great band. And if you're a fan of The Office, Creed Batten, that's Creed right there. Yeah, he was an original guitar player for the Grassroots. And then my favorite Jerry Garcia album. This particular one is a limited edition of 1500 on sky blue vinyl. But on here we've got Sugary and The Deal. I mean, that's enough right there to make this a classic album, and one that I will always go back to time and time again. And then another band that I was a huge fan of in the late 60s, and that was Grand Funk Railroad. And for me, this not only is my favorite Grand Funk album, but it's one of my favorite live albums, period. I never got to see them in their heyday, but this has got it all. I mean, what a great live album. Introduction, Are You Ready? Heartbreaker, Inside Looking Out, Mean Mistreater, Into the Sun. Great band, great power trio, Grand Funk Railroad. And then the Grateful Dead. Hard decision here, but just because of trucking, I've got to go with American Beauty. I mean, you've got Box of Rain, Friend of the Devil, Operator. Always liked Pigpen song. Broke Down Palace, killer album. Everybody should have Working Man's Dead and American Beauty. They really should be part of anybody's collection. And then next, this is an artist that most of you probably have not heard of unless you've watched some of my videos where I've talked about him in the past. But this is just one of my all-time favorite artists, and he's not only somebody I really love his music, but he's a good friend of mine, and that's Ed Hamill. And for him, I've got to pick his Cheechtown album. He's got a lot of records. He does all his own artwork, and look at these song titles. I really like when Bobby comes down. I'm gonna watch you sleep. Cheechtown is the name I chose for my Discogs user ID. So if anybody wants to look at what my records are, my collection, there it is. The Long Drive, Joe Brush, Bill Hicks. Ed Hamill is part folk. He's part punk, a lot punk, part rock and roll, and part comedian. I mean, you're going to get it all at his show. And he's a one-man show, and he's incredible. I mean, you ever get a chance to see this guy live, you've got to go. check them out on YouTube. But yeah, one of my all-time favorite artists, Hamill on Trial. And then Heart. Most people would probably pick one of their first two albums, but I'm going to pick Dog and Butterfly. And the reason is it's got one of my all-time favorite songs, which is Mistral Wind. But it's also got Cooked Fire, High Time, Straight On, and Dog and Butterfly. So, killer album. I actually got to see Heart in Seattle at a New Year's Eve show in 1978 or 79. I forget which one now. But excellent show. And then another one of my favorite bands from the 60s. They were definitely a top 40 band. And that would be Hermits. And Peter Noone is still on tour. If you get a chance to see him go, he sounds fantastic. He hasn't lost a thing in his vocals. Very entertaining show. He's got a great radio show on Sirius XM. The guy's got some amazing stories. And he had amazing songwriters. I mean, he had, Carole King wrote I'm Into Something Good. But you got I'm Henry VIII, Mrs. Brown, You Got a Lovely Daughter. Can't You Hear My Heartbeat? I love their version of The End of the World. Hermits. I love them. Album. This is the UHQR version. Are You Experienced? Seattle's own Jimi Hendrix. We almost share a birthday. His birthday is November 27th. Mine is the 28th. I've gone up to see his gravesite, his memorial, numerous times. Whenever friends are in town, I take them up there to see it. But this is the great album. Purple Haze, Manic Depression, Hey Joe, Wind Cries Mary, Are You... Does it get any better than this? And then it brings us Buddy Holly. And for Buddy Holly, I had to pick Legend just because it's got all the hits. It's what a shame that he died so early. You gotta wonder what would his career have been if he'd still been around. Influenced everybody, huge influence on the Beatles, especially Paul McCartney. Paul owns the publishing rights to Buddy Holly's music now, has for a number of years. But the number of songs that Buddy Holly and the Crickets did, That'll Be the Day, Oh Boy, Not Fade Away, Maybe Baby, Every Day, It's So Easy. It goes on and on and on. Buddy Holly is another artist that everybody should listen to, and everybody should have something by him. And then brings us to Janice Ian. And I just love this album. And she's got another one that came out right about the same time as this that I like too. But this is the one that I like because it's got When the Party's Over at 17. At 17, it's just a perfect song. Perfect song. You got to listen to the lyrics to that. And just great. Bright Lights and Promises, Between the Lines, Lover's Lullaby. Great album. I think she wrote her first hit song, Society's Child, when she was like 15, about an interracial relationship. And she did this back when that was not acceptable. But she had the nerve to write the song, record it. A lot of radio stations wouldn't play it. But Society's Child, if you've never heard that, go to YouTube and listen to it. And that brings us to It's a Beautiful Day. I love this album. Love this album. White Bird, Hot Summer Day. Every song on here is great. Girl with No Eyes. What a trippy psychedelic song that is. But I'm sure most people my age have this record or have heard it. But if you've never heard It's a Beautiful Day, check out White Bird and Girl with No Eyes. That's a good place to start. I've listened to some of their other albums and they don't do anything for me. This is really the only one I like, but this is one I always will have. And that brings us to our last record today for this video, In the Eyes, and that is Iron Butterfly, In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. What a classic song. I mean, and this without a doubt is an amazing pressing. I don't care what you say about Mobile Fidelity, but this is a killer pressing of a record, and I don't care how they did it. I don't care if it's digital or analog. This thing sounds fantastic. So, and for me, that's what counts. How does it sound? In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. So that wraps up this segment of records that I can't do without and that will never leave my collection. Appreciate you watching. If you haven't subbed, I would appreciate it if you would, and you can catch up on the rest of my videos for records I can't do without. And I'm going to go all through the alphabet, and then I'm going to start with my country, my blues, my jazz, and so on. So thank you for watching. Much appreciated. Leave a comment if you're so inclined. I do read them all, and I do try to respond to all of them. It's much appreciated. And until next time, ciao.